Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into something pretty cool today. It might actually change how you think about shopping.
Ooh, I like that. Lay it on me.
It's all about the power of buying used goods, like how much it can actually help save carbon emissions.
Okay, yeah, I think most people know that buying secondhand is like good for the planet in some way.
Right, but we're going deeper, like which items actually make the biggest difference.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So we're digging into the 2023 Secondhand Effect Report for this deep dive.
Oh, cool.
It's a big one, a collaboration actually. Willhaben, Edaventa, and even Vayu teamed up for this. They analyzed over 8 million items sold online.
8 million. Wow, that's quite a data set.
It is. And get this, they used AI to track the carbon footprint of, all those secondhand purchases.
Seriously. That's incredible. So what'd they find?
Well, first we got to talk about something called replacement rates.
Okay. Replacement rates, what are those?
Basically, how often buying something used actually replaces buying a brand new version of that thing.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So like a higher replacement rate means less demand for new products, which then means...
Less carbon emissions, yeah.
Okay, I'm following. So which items have the highest replacement rates? Is it clothes?
That's what I thought too. But turns out fashion isn't the superstar we might think. The report found a replacement rate of only around 40% for clothes.
Oh, really? Only 40%. So that means we're often buying used clothes in addition to new clothes, not really instead of them.
Exactly. It's like we're adding to our wardrobes, not necessarily swapping out the old for the secondhand.
Huh. That is kind of surprising. I guess maybe later on we can get into like why that is.
Definitely. Like, is it fast fashion trends, the affordability factor? Lots to unpack there.
Yeah, for sure. But for now, let's talk about the items with really high replacement rates, right? The stuff that actually makes the biggest difference.
Okay, yeah, hit me with it. Which categories are the carbon-saving champions?
All right, get ready for this. Living household catering takes the top spot. Like, they helped avoid a massive 52,000 tons of CO2e emissions.
Wait, 52,000 tons?
Whoa!
Yeah.
52,000 tons. And to make it more real, imagine planting a forest with 334,000 trees. That's the kind of positive impact we're talking about.
Wow. That's, yeah, that puts it into perspective for sure.
And within that category, washing machines are a big one.
Makes sense, right. I mean, they use a lot of energy and resources to make, plus they're, like, designed to last.
You got it. That durability is key when it comes to, why buying a used washing machine can have such a big impact.
Okay, so what's the next champion of carbon savings?
Okay, next up is sports equipment. They managed to avoid a phenomenal 50,578 tons of CO2e emissions.
Okay, another big one.
Huge. Think of it this way. That's like preventing the emissions from making 22 million plastic bottles.
22 million. Geez, that's a lot of bottles.
It is. And the big players in that category are, bikes and skis. Again, that durability thing comes into play, Designed for long-term use, so buying secondhand just makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
I can see why people would be hesitant to buy those brand new anyway.
Yeah.
Especially if you can find a great used option.
Exactly. So next up, we've got computer software coming in with 11,620 tons of CO2e emissions avoided.
Okay, not as high as the first two, but still a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's leading the charge in that category?
What?
Gaming consoles.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. They saved a whopping 5,482 tons. To put that into perspective, that's like the annual carbon storage of 249,000 trees.
Wow. That's more trees than I can even picture.
Right. What makes you think about those electronics upgrades a little differently, huh?
It does. I guess with technology changing so quickly, there are always, like, perfectly good used electronics out there.
Exactly. Okay, and last but not least, we have the baby child category. This one prevented 7,007 tons of CO2e emissions.
Okay, so still making a difference.
For sure. And for all the parents out there, think of it like the energy used in 525 dishwasher cycles.
Okay, yeah. Anyone with kids can definitely relate to that.
It just makes sense, right? Kids grow out of things so fast. So, buying secondhand makes sense for the planet and your wallet.
Absolutely. So we've got all these numbers, but what's the bigger picture here? Like, why do these specific categories have such a big impact? Washing machines to baby clothes. It's a pretty diverse mix.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's fascinating, right?
Totally. I mean,
Yeah.
We've talked about durability, right? It seems like the things that have the highest replacement rates are the ones that are just built to last. So it makes sense that they'd be perfect for the secondhand market.
Yeah, you're right. It's like if something's designed to last for years or like even decades, why wouldn't we consider buying it used? Especially for things like, washing machines, bikes, or even furniture. The quality is still there. They still work great.
Yeah, and it makes you think about all the energy and resources it takes to actually make those products new.
Exactly. It's crazy how much goes into it. We don't always think about like the hidden carbon footprint of all the stuff we buy.
Yeah, true.
Things like washing machines, gaming consoles, kids' toys, all that. Making them the first time uses a ton of energy.
So when we buy used, it's like we're skipping all those emissions, right,
Yeah.
from making a brand new product.
Exactly. It's a win-win for the environment, you know? Less waste because we're giving these items a second life and we don't have to produce more.
Totally. Okay, so what about consumer behavior? Like, do you think people are more likely to just replace stuff with new stuff if they don't buy used?
That's a great question. I honestly think, for me, if I couldn't find a good used washing machine, I'd probably just buy a new one. Wouldn't even really think about it.
Yeah, same here. It's like it's just the default.
Right, and that's why it's so important to have like a good secondhand market for these things. It gives people another choice, a good alternative to buying brand new. And that helps reduce demand overall, which then helps lower those emissions.
It's like a ripple effect, right?
Right.
When we buy used, we're not just lowering our own footprint. It's like we're kind of influencing the whole market.
I love that. The ripple effect. It's true. All our choices are connected. And speaking of choices, what about that thing we were talking about earlier with fashion?
Oh, yeah. That was interesting. Why do you think we buy used clothes when we're still buying new clothes? That 40% replacement rate.
Right. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with, like, how fast trends change now. Fast fashion, we see new styles all the time. It's tempting to keep up, even if it means buying more than we need.
And used clothes are often way cheaper, right? So it's like we can experiment more without, spending a ton of money.
For sure. Plus, there's like that thrill of the hunt, finding those unique vintage pieces that you just wouldn't find anywhere else.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
But I think this brings up like a bigger question about our consumption habits.
Yeah.
Are we just buying more clothes than we need? Is it all about like novelty and affordability, even if it's, not so great for the environment?
It's complicated, right? No easy answers there. I think the first step is just being aware of it all. Understand this whole replacement rate thing, how different products, have different impacts. That can help us make better choices.
Yeah, it's like even though fashion isn't the biggest carbon saver in the used world, it still matters. Maybe this knowledge can help us like think twice before buying yet another thing we don't need.
Totally. Every choice makes a difference. So as we're wrapping up this whole deep dive into the secondhand world, I want to leave you with one last thought, something to ponder.
Okay, hit me with it. What should we be thinking about? Okay, yeah, I'm ready. What is it?
So knowing what we know now, right,
Right.
about this whole replacement rate thing and how much carbon we can save with different categories, how might that, change how we think about buying things like new versus used?
That's a good question.
What's the takeaway for all of us?
Yeah, what can we do differently?
I think for me, it's like, okay, what do I need? What do I want to buy? And is there a chance I could find that used?
Yeah, could we like prioritize those categories that had the biggest impact? Appliances, sporting goods, electronics, all that baby stuff.
Exactly. I know I'm definitely going to think twice before just, automatically buying something brand new.
Me too. It's like, I never really thought about it before, but now I know,
Yeah.
It actually does make a difference.
And even if you're not buying like a washing machine or a gaming console right now, this whole idea can apply to anything, right?
Yeah, true.
Like it changes how we think about all our buying decisions, thinking about the whole life cycle of the things we buy.
It's like before you buy something new, just stop for a sec. Think, could I find this used?
Right. And if you can, why not try it?
It's about that ripple effect. We talked about that.
Yeah. All those individual actions can add up to something big, real change.
And it's not just about, saving carbon. It's also about like being a part of that circular economy thing, right?
Yeah.
Reusing things, giving them a second life, keeping them out of the landfill.
100%. Buying used is just like a good thing all around. It's good for the planet. It's usually easier on your wallet. And you know what? Sometimes you find the coolest stuff. Those one-of-a-kind things you just wouldn't find new.
Totally. It's true. I love finding vintage stuff, things with like a story.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up this deep dive, what's the big takeaway? What do you want our listeners to remember?
It's simple, really. Every little bit counts. Every choice matters. Even those small changes can add up to something huge if we all do them.
So true.
So, go out there, explore, find some awesome secondhand treasures, make a difference.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep making those sustainable choices.